Brock Purdy is probably not going to be back this week, but George Kittle is. How much will number 85 help, and can the 49ers get their 5th win of the season against the Falcons? What is good, everybody? Welcome to another Gold Standard podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrero alongside Michelle Majuk. Michelle, how are you on this fine Friday?
Hey, it's a good Friday. It's not too hot outside for once in Houston. I get to wear a sweatshirt. I have my mimosa. Everything's looking up.
There you go. When you got a mimosa, it's a good day, which for you is every day. So usually you're in a good mood.
Shush.
Lot to break down on today's show. We're going to talk about the return of George Kittle. We'll talk about the absence of Fred Warner, what that is going to do for the defense. And of course, we will make our picks. We are still hitting on 70% of our picks, Michelle. I've been telling people all week, you have to listen and watch on Fridays because we are killing it.
We are. We got a little cocky last week, giving too many, but overall, we've been doing very well.
Yes, I agree with you. We got high on our own supply last week. We went a little nuts. We still hit 5 of 9. So it wasn't like terrible, but
we took some hard ones too. Like when you take touchdowns, those are really hard.
Yeah, you can be a little dicey. But we'll get to the picks in a few minutes. We got to talk about this game in general. And all week, as we learned that George Kittle was going to be back at practice and that he is practicing and we've seen him and he's bouncing around and he's, doing all the things. I have been telling people that he is going to be massive, that his impact is going to be just felt everywhere on the team. I still think that. I think it's going to help the running game. I think it's obviously going to help the passing game. My question to you is, am I being too optimistic?
What's going to be interesting is, does Mac Jones have that connection with George Kittle, right? Because if this was Brock Purdy out there starting, I would say this is absolutely massive because the connection between those two is just undeniable, right? I mean, we saw it instantly to start the season. What do you have, like already 25 receiving yards and a touchdown on the one drive he played this year at 4 targets, I think, on that drive as well. So that would have been huge. Now we have to see, does he have that connection with Mac Jones? Do they have to use him too much for blocking? Because all of a sudden the Falcons pass rush is there. Like they've never had a pass rush, I feel like. And then all of a sudden this year they did well in the draft. So it'll be interesting to see how they use them in that connection. But yeah, I mean, it's huge to have him back.
I want to state for the record right now, I don't care how good the Atlanta Falcons pass rush is. You do not keep George Kittle into block. Period. End of it. No, you do not take that man out of the game voluntarily. No, Kyle Shanahan. No. Figure it out. Whatever else you got to do, I don't care. Blocking is the second best thing George Kittle does. Do not make him block.
No, I mean, Kittle's incredible. Like he's better than almost all wide receivers, right? In efficiency over the last couple of years. So they need to utilize George Kittle, especially in the red zone, right? They've been struggling in that area. He should help them out there. And I mean, it still looks like Ricky Pearsall won't be back, right? So listen, Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne, keep doing your thing, but now it doesn't have to just be Kendrick Bourne, right? You also have George Kittle. You also have Christian McCaffrey. Utilize all 3 of those guys, and it's going to put a lot of pressure on that Falcons defense.
Arjun, YouTube channel member, says, happy weekend from the Netherlands. Time for a beer. I'm jealous of Arjun because his weekend has already started. I got to do this podcast. I got to do the NFC West mixtape, which is coming after this. So still got a little bit of work to go.
Oh, is it so hard, such hard work to podcast with me?
Hey, look, when they're good, it is. I'll just say that. Okay. You smart aleck. Anyway, Kittle, impact. I think it's going to be massive for a couple different reasons. One of which is when we have seen 49ers quarterbacks, whether it's Brock, whether it's Mac Jones, when they get into trouble, what usually happens? Well, it's when the linebackers don't either get a lot of depth or not enough depth. And what I mean by that is sometimes the linebackers drop way back into the passing lanes and the Niners quarterbacks throw it there anyway, and they intercept it. They are not going to have as easy a time doing that because now you've got McCaffrey and you've got Kittle. So if you are a linebacker and both of those guys are over the middle, you have a choice. You either stay close to the line of scrimmage to guard against Christian McCaffrey, or you back way up to defend against George Kittle, which is going to open things up for CMC. So I was thinking about this as I was trying to decide on picks and because we've been taking McCaffrey receiving yards every week. And I was like, oh man, will he get less because of Kittle? And I think he might get less catches, but I think he's going to be able to do more with those because I think the combination of Kittle and McCaffrey creates a spacing issue for the defense. And one of those guys is going to be open on every play.
And I still think McCaffrey's going to be insanely necessary in this matchup against the Falcons, who have the #1 pass defense, who, like I said, have a much better pass rush. Like, Mac Jones might not have a ton of time to throw the ball, and he's been getting the ball out very quickly, so he's going to have to continue to do that.
And I think he will. He got a little weird, like that last interception. I don't know what the hell he was thinking. I really don't. And he hasn't really done a lot of that, but I do think he kind of panicked a little bit. And look, if the Falcons pass rush is bothering him all day, maybe that'll be, something that he does a little more often. But I just think that it's just going to be so much easier with Kittle there. He's going to create, he's going to get catches. McCaffrey's going to get catches. Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings, or maybe Jordan. There's a chance we actually get to see Jordan Watkins on a football field this weekend. Maybe he'll actually have some space. And by the way, the thing I like about Jordan Watkins is he's fast. He can actually take the top off of a defense. They have not had that for weeks. So when you talk about why isn't the running game getting going? I saw Chris.
They have MVS, who that's his only job. So they do have a guy that's fast. We don't know that Jordan Watkins is going to be any better than MVS.
That's true. We don't know. I would argue that no one is scared of MVS because even if he's wide open and even if you throw him the ball, he ain't going to catch it anyway. So I do know that the chances are pretty good. Jordan Watkins probably has better hands than MVS.
It'd be hard not to.
But like Chris Sims was saying, defenses are not really scared of anybody going over the top of them. And so that also contributes to why they're able to stop the run so much, because it's like, we're not worried about anything going over the top. Now, maybe with Jordan Watkins there, he runs a 4.36 or whatever it is. Perhaps that might help. I don't know. I'm hoping.
No, it's not. It's not going to help. I think that's you being just wildly optimistic. I think George Kittle could make it help because Kittle is such a great deep threat too, even though he's a tight end, right? And it's not even just that he can go deep and catch a deep ball, but also after the catch, what he can do to defenders. So my biggest worry about George Kittle is that he comes back, re-aggravates the hamstring right away, and then what is he, just out for the rest of the season, basically?
So he said yesterday that he fully tore his hamstring. Now, the good news was that he didn't tear it from the bone. If he had torn it off the bone, it would have been out even more than he was. But because it wasn't torn off the bone, the tear was in a different spot. He was able to come back this season. But it tells you how much of a severe injury that was, which is just, oh my God, the fact that we got one quarter out of George Kittle before he suffered this major injury. The 49ers' biggest stars this year, so many of them have suffered catastrophic injury. Kittle, fully torn hamstring. Fred Warner, ankle pointing in the wrong direction. Nick Bosa, torn ACL. It has not just been, well, these guys can't get hurt. It is that these guys have gotten hurt and these guys have suffered major crippling injuries.
What's also wild, too, is when they get the injuries. You're like, well, it can't be that bad because look at their reaction. Kittle was Kittle didn't seem like it was just like, oh, man, I can't play. He was just disappointed. Fred Warner's smiling. I would be screaming and crying hysterically if my foot was turned the opposite direction. These men are wild. I mean, these football players are just made of something else.
Yeah, Lenore said he heard Fred Warner screaming on the field, but I saw Fred Warner on the cart and he's smiling almost. Yeah. And he's giving speeches in the locker room after. And they had to take his ankle and straighten it out because they put.
I refused to look. They kept showing it. I kept looking away.
I never watched it. I'm so squeamish when it comes to that stuff.
When they do it, they were like, well, this was really gross, but we're going to show you again and again and again.
Yeah, I don't like that. It's the Dak Prescott injury. It's the Trey Lance injury. Remember with Lance, he had to get the screw put in and then he had to get the screw taken out because it was irritating him. So that's always a concern. I'm still amazed that the recovery time for the Warner injury is 3 months. I'm like, 3 months? His foot was pointed in the wrong direction. 3 months doesn't seem like that much time.
Well, they said if the 49ers were to make the Super Bowl, he could possibly be back.
Which is crazy. And Fred would come back. Like, I don't know what percentage he would be, but there's no way if the 49ers were in the Super Bowl that Fred Warner would not be participating. But
and then it's just like that Fred Warner injury really was like, okay, let's just have fun this season. Let's see how many wins they can get. Let's see if they can squeak, find their way into the playoffs. But I'm sorry, everyone. Like, I just cannot talk myself into this being a Super Bowl contending team without Nick Bosa and Fred Warner when this defense was already thin, right? It was already thin, and you were really depending on those top-notch guys to come through, and you lost the two most important players by far. So I don't know.
I agree with you, and it's going to be a drop-off, obviously. Kyle Posey had a great tweet that Tatum Bethune has to replace the linebacker who led the league in run tackles at his position, was tied for second in run stuffs, allowed the third lowest completion percentage, and had the lowest completion percentage over expected. Robert Saleh spent a good portion of his press conference yesterday talking up Tatum Bethune and saying they believe in him and all this stuff. Tatum Bethune could be an awesome linebacker. He's still not going to be what Fred Warner was.
Fred Warner was the best defender in the league this year, I think, so far. It's a massive, massive loss. Like, it's one thing to be missing Nick Bosa in the pass rush, but without Fred Warner, this team is just a completely different defense, and they're going to get beat over the middle way more often. He is able to shut down tight ends. That's not going to happen anymore. Like, it's going to be a huge loss, and the offense is going to have to step it up big time, and they're still not fully healthy yet. So we'll see what happens.
Mr. Fancam says, Michelle, come to Social Beer Garden in Houston next weekend for the 49ers rally. Frank the Tank Gore is going to be there.
Nice. On Sunday, like before the game, or on Saturday?
That's true. He said next weekend, so I don't know. But there you go.
But it sounds like a blast. I will definitely consider it.
When we talk about the Falcons and this defense, how are they doing this is the better question. I know what they do well. They're very good against the pass. What I don't understand is how, because I look at this defense and I'm like, there's no guy that I'm like terrified of, but they're really good.
I don't understand why they're so good and their numbers are so good. Now they have played some bad offenses, but what's weird is like the worst offense they played, they lost 30-0 against the Panthers. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a fluke, but they played so well against the Bills last week that it's definitely a much scarier matchup than we were ever considering it to be.
Let's do this because, happy Niner fans are like, the Panthers shut them out 30-0. And then scared 49er fans are like, yeah, but they shut down Josh Allen and the Bill. Let's take their best performance and their worst performance and throw them out and assume they're somewhere in the middle. But damn, they are allowing less than 140 pass yards per game. In 2025, that's crazy. Mac Jones has had multiple halves, I believe, this year with more than 140 passing yards. Like, that isn't to be at that level with this defense is wild to me. They're allowing 20 points per game. Again, I don't totally get it. It's got to be a combination of scheme and I guess total team defense, but man, are they doing it. And that takes the pressure off of their offense because their offense doesn't have to be superhuman when their defense is literally completely shutting down the other team's passing game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fewest passing yards per game allowed by any team in a season since the 1982 Dolphins. 1980, like any team that was at the bottom four fewest passing yards per game allowed, they all were 1980, 1980, 1982. It was the 1980 Washington, 1982 Dolphins, like I said, in 1980 Bills. And then it's the Falcons in 2025. Like, this is a passing league, right? The rules are set to be easy passing. I do think like this is not going to stick. I don't think they're that dominant of a defense. It just is what it is through the first 6 weeks, but they're clearly going to be good, right? Like, I don't think it's going to go so drastically, but they can allow another 50 passing yards per game and still be a really good pass defense. So,
right.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough matchup for sure.
what I think it's going to come down to for the 49ers is explosive plays, right? This is not a defense where you're going to be able to go 5 yards, 7 yards, 5 yards, 3 yards, and just keep matriculating the ball down the field. You're going to have to get your yardage on some big plays, and that has not been an area where the 49ers have excelled this season. Nick Wagner had a good tweet. Right now, the Niners are averaging 5 explosive plays per game. An explosive play is a 10-plus yard run or a 20-plus yard pass. Since Kyle Shanahan was hired in 2017, they have never done worse than 6.38 big plays per game. That was in 2017, his first year ever when the roster stunk, and in 2020 when they were horribly injured. So they are doing worse right now than they have ever done in terms of explosive plays in the Kyle Shanahan era. And oh, by the way, if you're wondering, in 2023, they were at 8.76 explosive plays per game, which was the highest of anybody in the entire Shanahan era, anybody in the league, except for the Falcons in 2019, who were just a hair over that at 8.88 explosive plays per game. They have
this makes so much sense, though, right? I mean, if anyone else was missing their top 3 wide receivers, they're all pro tight end that was supposed to be maybe the top receiver in the game or for your team, and is the guy that makes so many explosive plays. Like, that makes sense. No offense would be thriving without any of their top options out there. So when you're passing to your running back 100 gazillion times, no matter how good Christian McCaffrey is as a receiving running back, it's still averaging like his top notch at 10 yards per reception. Amazing for a running back, but that's very low for a wide receiver, right? Or even a tight end. So the efficiency is just not going to be there in the passing game when you have to go through the running back and you have no wide receivers and you have Jake Tonjes, who's stepped up, don't get me wrong, as the starting tight end, but he shouldn't be a starting tight end. That stat does not surprise me and does not make me scared or worried. It's just they need to get healthy.
And, look, they still got some explosive plays. The Kendrick Bourne had a 56-yard catch and run. But what I have talked about because of the injuries is those plays could be so much more. If anybody else catches that pass that Kendrick Bourne caught, the 56-yarder, that's a touchdown. He was wide open when he caught it. There's nobody around him. The only guy that could catch him is the guy that was behind him chasing him. And because Kendrick Bourne is not a fast football player, he's a fast human being, but not a fast football player, he got caught. And it was a 56-yard play instead of a touchdown. Now, the Niners scored on that drive eventually. But like I've talked about, Christian McCaffrey had to touch the ball 6 more times on that drive in order for them to get into the end zone. If that play goes for a touchdown, you save those touches on Christian McCaffrey, right? He doesn't have to sustain that kind of damage. If Kittle catches that ball, that's a touchdown. If Pearsall catches it, it's a touchdown. So even though Kyle is still getting some explosive plays, they could be even more explosive if the people catching them were the guys that were supposed to be catching them.
Now, Kendrick Bourne, I mean, we can't be mad at him, right? He has he has exactly 142 receiving yards in each of the past 2 games, right? That's just fun that it's exactly the same. But he became the 4th wide receiver in 49ers history to have 140 plus receiving yards in consecutive games. Do you want to guess the other 3 guys just for funsies?
Sure. Jerry Rice.
Yep.
Terrell Owens.
Yep.
Ooh, this one's tough.
I don't think you're going to get this one.
Is this someone from a while ago?
Yeah, I mean, I actually don't know who this person is. Hopefully, they're not a big name.
Oh God, it's not Dwight Clark.
No,
it's
I know him.
It's what's his name? You can tell me who it is.
John Taylor.
Oh yeah. Oh, I should have known that. That's terrible. Yeah, no, John Taylor was a really good wide receiver. He played with Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice said if John Taylor cared about football basically as much as I do, he'd be as good as me.
Oh, wow.
He was still really good. Yeah, I should have guessed John Taylor, but I love the trivia, so thank you for that.
Oh, you're so welcome.
I don't know whether to be hopeful or not in this game. When I look at the Falcons offense, it's like Bijan Robinson scares the hell out of me. Algiers is a really good running back too. I don't want to, forget him. That combination is very good. Their wide receivers are fine. I don't like Drake London is a good player, but I'm not terrified that Drake London is going to light us up. But I worry that Robinson is just going to be able to run. The 49ers have had communication issues on defense We saw it last week against Tampa Bay multiple times where guys didn't know who was who in the zoo and receivers are just running wide open. There were a couple times in that game. We broke it down yesterday with Johnny Dell where Emeka Egbuka is uncovered on certain plays. Like the one guy that you want somebody to be on was wide open and Baker actually missed him on the 2 plays where he was uncovered. But like, I'm just worried that guys are going to keep putting us in a blender basically.
Yeah, I mean, Ibuka could have had a much bigger game in that matchup for sure. And yeah, it was weird that Baker and him just couldn't connect on those 2 plays. But yeah, I mean, Drake London has been coming along. Michael Penix Jr. has been looking much better the last couple games. And yeah, Bijan Robinson is such a beast. He's averaging over 164 scrimmage yards per game, 164.4. He's on pace to, I mean, that would be the most in NFL history in a single season. Now, it's only been 5 games. He has a long way to go, but Bijan Robinson has just been unstoppable. And it's crazy because he gets taken off the field for Tyler Algier quite a bit more than any of us fantasy managers like, right? But Tyler Algier is also a pretty solid running back in his own right. Mm-hmm. So it's not like when Bijan comes off the field, you can feel like, okay, like it's not as scary, but Tyler Algier can get those tough yards as well.
Exactly. Power runner. Can do the damn job and spells Bijan, a couple of times. It's that's what scares me is that they're going to use Robinson as a runner. They'll use him as a receiver. And I don't know. I mean, he's hard enough to tackle as it is. When the 49ers backups are in there, I worry about the tackling. They couldn't even tackle Baker friggin' Mayfield last week. Are they going to be able to tackle Bijan Robinson? I don't know. How many points do you think the 49ers will have to score to win the game?
I think at least 27.
Yeah, I think you're right. And do you think they're going to get there? Because I don't.
I don't know. What do we get out of Mac Jones? What do we get from this offensive line? I think they can get there. Yeah. Like I was listening to Levin and you on your Gold Standard episode, and Levin brought up like they need to turn some of these field goals into touchdowns, right? So if George Kittle can help that happen, right? And they turn 1 or 2 of their field goals that normally they stall out on and they actually get into the end zone, then I think they can score 27 points because they're moving the ball just fine. They just need to actually find the end zone at a higher rate. And hopefully George Kittle can help that.
Mike Rotunda and John Veen. Is Brock still out? Nothing's been official, but Mac Jones practiced in full yesterday. Brock Purdy has been limited Wednesday and Thursday. Mac is the one that met the media yesterday, which usually is a sign that he's going to be the starting quarterback. So nothing is official, but it sure looks like Mac Jones. Kyle Shanahan, I think, said something similar on KMBR. But you're right. Can they turn a couple of those possessions into field goals? And one thing I want to keep my eye on this week, because this has killed them too. They have their own issues scoring once they get into scoring range, whether it's the red zone or just outside. But a couple of the drives we saw last week, the reasons why they don't score is because they get a penalty. If you are around the 20 and you get a penalty, like a holding penalty, that is crippling to that drive. It basically ends the drive more often than not. And a couple of times they've gotten down there. They had a holding penalty, I think, on Brendo once. They had an offensive pass interference penalty on Juwan Jennings on a screen. Just avoid that. And I think that in and of itself will make them so much more likely to score a touchdown than kick a field goal. Don't beat yourself.
You're right. Like those penalties are a disaster. And these next 2 games, like I don't think it does matter who the quarterback is, but I don't want Purdy to come back. Right. It's still banged up and still not being able to put weight on that foot fully and not feeling confident and facing the Falcons #1 pass defense and then the Texans amazing pass defense as well. And then people are going to be like, oh, see, Mac Jones is better. Get him back in. It's like, no, these next 2 matchups are really, really hard on defense. So if the offense struggles a little bit, if the passing offense struggles, like most teams are struggling against these defenses and he still doesn't have all of his weapons. So I fully think it's going to be Mac Jones that plays this week, and I think it should be if Purdy's not 110% healthy.
It's so funny that the games Purdy has played is against Seattle, a really good defense, and Jacksonville, a really good defense. Meanwhile, Mac has gotten to play some of the lighter passing defenses on the schedule. And I just want to say, by the way, Joe Flacco, and I know you're aware of this, Michelle, because they played your Steelers last night. Joe Flacco put up 342, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Does that mean that Cincinnati shouldn't assign Joe Burrow to that contract? Because that's what everybody's been saying about Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, right? Oh, Mac Jones is giving you similar production. You shouldn't have paid Purdy. Okay. You going to say that about Cincinnati, or are we not going to say it? Well, let's be consistent. If you're going to say that, you got to apply it to both, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, right? And it was still right for them not to be like, we're going to go sign Nick Foles. It's like not backups having a good stretch. Does that mean that they should be a starting quarterback?
How are you doing, by the way? Were you pulling your hair out?
Listen, it was the most ridiculous game ever. Just put multiple people on Jamar Chase. I don't know why they were so adamant about him being single coverage and why they wanted to give Ramsey the whole first half to prove that he could shadow him alone. And then the second half, it's like, I don't know. They made no adjustments. Mike Tomlin is infuriating sometimes.
My son has Jamar Chase on his fantasy team, so he was
good for him.
When he woke up this morning.
For him.
Yeah. And then Aaron Rodgers got tackled by his own guy. And did you see that? He got all mad. He was like, dude, what are you doing?
After a touchdown, yeah. He was so mad. It's so funny.
You know what? It's the same thing. If that happened, like if Purdy threw a touchdown and somebody tackled him, I'd be like, what are you doing?
It's stupid, but also I kind of love it because I don't like Rodgers. So.
Yeah, true. Strawberry React says Mac's numbers are comparable to Nick Mullins' first 4 starts. Mullins actually had more attempts, more yards, and more touchdowns, but also more interceptions. Yeah, Mac's got to stop with the picks. I know one of them last week wasn't his fault. I get that because Kendrick Bourne ran the wrong route. Okay, but then this team cannot turn the ball over. You can't do it. Whenever they are really, really good, they don't turn the ball over. And it is stunning to me that for the most of Kyle Shanahan's tenure, they've kind of had turnover problems, regardless of whether it's Garoppolo or Purdy or Mac Jones or whoever you want to throw in there. That's been the bugaboo with this team. It's what do we always say? Oh, they're moving the ball down the field. They just turned it over. Yeah, look, well, stop doing that then.
Yeah, in this game, they're going to have a very clean game because they're not able to get interceptions. And right. I don't know if this is the game they're going to finally get one, but I mean, at this point, we can't keep calling it, right? Because they just keep not coming down with interceptions, and having no pass rush and not having Fred Warner is not going to help that. So obviously we can't expect the 49ers to get very many defensive takeaways, but that means they have to play a clean game. But I do think there's a fine balance here. Like, I don't like it when quarterbacks are too scared to throw interceptions either. I think that can also ruin your team.
Yes, but there's a time and a place, right, for those risky throws. Most of the time, I feel like in this offense, there's an open check down somewhere. Just take the check. That's what Mac has been doing so well. Take the check down, gain the 3-4 yards, take a profit, and you keep moving the ball down the field. And then at certain points in the game, maybe the end of half, end of game, obviously, yeah, you might have to make some riskier throws into some traffic, but knowing when those throws are needed is a huge factor in how many turnovers you commit. And I feel like Brock has no sense of that lately. He's just like, I got to throw it in there. I got it like every time. It's like, dude, it's the first drive of the first quarter. What are you doing? Take the 5 yards.
Yeah, Purdy's definitely been being too careless with the football. That's his biggest weakness right now by far, right? When you look at the 2 games between Mac Jones and Brock Purdy can definitely do more off script stuff like that. And you feel better about him as an overall passer, but in terms of not making mistakes, all of a sudden you're like, you do feel a little bit better about Mac Jones being more careful with the ball.
Yes, absolutely. You do. And we'll obviously, like I said, likely get Mac this week. All right, we're going to get to the picks in a second. Want to thank Sleeper for partnering with us this year. Remember, all you got to do with Sleeper is pick higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, passing yards, receiving yards, fantasy points, and more for up to 1,000 times payout. Get your picks right, and you can win big. We have gotten 70% of our picks right this season, so we're here for you. Just hop on. If you haven't done so, do it now. If you do, new users will get a free $20 entry. You don't have to deposit any money or anything. You just sign up and you get the free $20 entry. And if you do want to deposit, use our code GSP. You'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Now, terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Last week, Michelle, we were 5 of 9, which is our worst week of this year, to be honest with you, which is crazy to say because it's still almost 50%. We got hurt on a couple of things. Egbuka was one of mine, and he obviously, and one of yours actually, and he only played one half. So that really hurt us. The injury there took out 2 of our picks. So that's 2 of the ones that we got wrong. I had Jake Tonjes anytime touchdown. That did not cash. You had Mac Jones more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. That did not hit as well. But we both had the Christian McCaffrey receiving yards. You had Baker's total yardage over 261.5. Ding. Way to go, you. I had Baker more than 1.5 touchdowns. I had Rashad White more than 51.5 rushing yards. And I had, my favorite bet, Eddie Pinheiro, more than 1.5 field goals. That was easy money. I texted you as soon as that one hit.
Yeah, you've been liking those, and we might as well stick with it. But that's not what we want to root for, especially this week. So, yeah, it's going to be difficult.
Now, speaking of difficult, this week is a little tricky because as of this show, as of this recording, there are not a lot of picks to choose from because there's some uncertainty with the quarterback situation and all of that. We will try and give you some guidance as best we can, but this could be the thing where you have to check in Saturday or Sunday morning to see the actual numbers here, but we'll try and give you some guidance. Is there one of the picks that are listed, Michelle, that you like?
I mean, there's a couple, so there's not many out there, but I do think George Kittle at more than 53.5 receiving yards. I'm definitely interested in taking that because Mac Jones, my actually biggest worry is that Jake Tonjes is for whatever reason still involved in the passing game, right? Like because Tonjes has had 58 yards last week, 41 the week before, 58 the week before. So he hit this by about 5 yards in 2 of the last 3 games. And we know George Kittle is so much better. And in the one drive, we got to see George Kittle this year was 4 receptions for 25 yards. So already halfway there in one drive. I think Kittle, if he's actually playing this week, I really, really hope that he is 1,000%, has no chance to it's a very low chance to re-aggravate, and that he could make it through this game. But Kittle, if he doesn't have 53.5 receiving yards, I'm a little bit worried about if they win this game.
I'm on board with you. I want to co-sign with this one, quite frankly. We have seen one of the things I love that Kyle has done is he's done a lot of screens and a lot of tight end screens. Once they get to like the 40-yard line, the opponent's 40, he's done that a couple of times this year. And Tonjes, they've gone for some decent gains, but if it's Kittle there, those gains are going to be even bigger. I don't think this is going to be a game where George Kittle needs 7 catches to have more than 53 receiving yards. I think he could do it on like a 4-catch type of thing. He's going to want to go nuts because he's like a caged animal that's been wanting to get out there all season. And I think he's going to go over this. So I will take more than 53.5 receiving yards for George Kittle as well. I feel pretty comfortable there. That's probably the most comfortable 49ers pick I have this week.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to find. They don't have one for Kendrick Bourne. Obviously, we would like that. Like, even though he's had 140 yards each of the last 2 weeks, I feel like they're still going to have him in the 60s because it's Kendrick Bourne. So if it's 60, 72, like well, it's a really hard defense, I guess, against Atlanta. But clearly, Mac Jones and Kendrick Bourne have a connection, and it makes sense because it goes back to their Patriots day. Like they've worked together for a long time now. So clearly they have that connection and it's working for them. So if it's in the 60s, I take it. If it's over 70, I maybe stay away just because of the really hard defense.
Nick Eller asks if you know what Kittle averages on Sunday Night Football. I don't have that at the tip of my tongue.
I can find it. Yeah.
Michelle will just spend the rest of the time now ignoring what I'm saying while she looks this up. So we can do that. Strawberry React says Kittle's going to be on a limited snap count like they did with other players coming off injuries. I think that sounds good in person, but like especially if they are losing and if they are losing by multiple scores, George Kittle's going to be like, I'm in the game. Like I'm not coming out of the game. I'm sorry. Jake Tonjes is not taking my snaps. So they may go into the game with that kind of a plan, but I think that they're not going to stick with it once the actual game kicks off.
So George Kittle averages 85 receiving yards per game in Sunday Night Football games in his career. Now, he only had 7 receiving yards the last Sunday Night Football game that was in Buffalo, a blizzard, right? So we could take that away. The game before that on Sunday Night Football, also in 2024, 128 receiving yards.
Woo.
Amazing.
Let's do it. We got a question from Antonio, who asked, YouTube channel member, by the way, if you want to become one, it's less than $3 a month. Please and thank you. He says, how do you feel about Michael Penix 1.5 passing touchdowns in the game? That's tricky because I think Salah's going to have a decent plan for him. I really do. And he's sort of the weak link, so to speak. Like, that's how you got to stop the foul. You're not going to slow down Bijan Robinson. You got to slow down Michael Penix.
Penix has 4 passing touchdowns on the season. Even last week when they beat up on the Bills, he had 1 touchdown. Like, that's it. He's only had 2 passing touchdowns in one game this year against the Commanders, and it was exactly the 2. So it feels like low probability for him to hit the over. I do like the under because if they get even close to the goal line, they're going with Bijan or Tyler Algier. Like, they're not putting it in the hands of Michael Penix. So right. I like the under 1.5.
Less than. You like less than 1.5 passing touchdowns.
Yes, less than.
This is a good comment. Strawberry React says most of Kittle's touchdowns come off the scramble drill with Brock, and Mac Jones isn't doing that. Fair. Yeah. That's a legitimate thing, especially in the red zone. I feel like Brock and Kittle had kind of Brock would just start running around and just start looking for Kittle. But you know what? Maybe they won't need to. Imagine if you just dialed up plays and the plays worked. Wouldn't that be like an amazing thing?
And they have been, to give Kyle Shanahan credit. Like, they've been plays that Mac Jones is getting the ball out of his hands very quickly. Mm-hmm. They're clearly very scripted and scheduled because he knows when to get it out, and the receiver is expecting it before he even gets out of his route. So Kyle Shanahan, I got to give him credit. He's been a very good coach this year. And this, I know last week was disappointing against the Buccaneers, but the Buccaneers were a better team and the 49ers were just too injured. Like, you can only do so much in any given week.
They were in that game. They were in that game. Like, they had every opportunity to win it and didn't take advantage of it, even with some of the losses that we saw. My next pick, I'll take Bijan Robinson more than 37.5 receiving yards.
Yeah.
I think with the linebacker issues the 49ers are having, plus the fact that Robinson is just really freaking good, I think he's going to go over this. Now, it could come on one play. It could come on an explosive play, but I think over 4 quarters, he's going to have more than 10 receiving yards a quarter. So I will take Bijan Robinson more than 37.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on that. Put me down for it. He has 100 or more receiving yards in 2 games this year. But then also the last 2 weeks, last 2 games for the Falcons, 106 yards receiving, 68 yards receiving. Yeah, I mean, it's Robinson and Chris McCaffrey, best receiving backs in the league.
Do you want the Penix less than 1.5 touchdown passes to be official?
Yeah, I think I do. I like it.
This is only the second less than pick that you've made all year.
I never take less than, but I like it. I'm going to take it.
I like it.
We'll have to give, who was it that said it?
I think it was Strawberry Reacts.
Yeah.
It was Antonio. Sorry, Antonio. Oh boy, I don't know how to say your last name, Antonio. Iniguez? I apologize. I'm sure I butchered that. But all right, yeah, you could take it and you could give credit if you want. What about the rush yards for one Christian McCaffrey? It's at 60.5. Now, normally I would say less than, but this Kittle thing, I don't know. My reptile brain is like, Kittle is back. The running game will be good because they'll just put Kittle and Trent and Juice on one side and just run it over there. That could happen, or they could continue to stink, quite frankly.
Yeah, I mean, it's been just under that pretty much every game this year, 54, 57, 49, 52, 55. But them going up against this defense, it's really good against the pass. They probably need to lean on McCaffrey a little bit more in the run game. But even when he had 22 carries against the Rams, it was only 57 rushing yards. But like you said, maybe Kittle helps the blocking. I'm staying away from it, but I don't mind it.
Atlanta, I'm just trying to check. Atlanta has given up so far this season 570 rush yards, which is 114 per game. So I don't know. Maybe it fills you with a little bit of confidence. It would make such a difference, Michelle, for this offense if they could just get something on the ground, right? Like just something more than like 2 yards and having it be a struggle for 2 yards. You'd be able to stay ahead of the chains more. You'd be able to do more in the passing game. You wouldn't have to rely so much on the short passing game all the time. play action would become a much bigger weapon, which we know Kyle has an extensive play action, arsenal. It would matter. It would make night and day difference for this team if they could just be slightly below average rushing the ball instead of the worst team in the league.
I think I like it. James Cook last week, even in a 10-point loss, had 87 rushing yards against the Falcons. Chuba Hubbard had 73 yards against them in week 3. Chris Rodriguez and Bill Krosky-Merritt combined for over 100 rushing yards against them in week 4. I don't mind it. I think I like the more on that one.
Do you want that to count as official?
Yeah, let's count that as official. I have one I want to do for the Falcons.
Okay.
Drake London, more than 79.5 receiving yards. So again, I mean, this has been a regular occurrence that the 49ers struggle against slot receivers, and they are allowing the most receiving yards to slot receivers yet again this year. And Drake London actually leads this team in slot receiving yards and slot receptions. And slot receiving touchdowns. So I think they move him around quite a bit, right? So it's not going to be just Diamador Lenore on him, and he's going to find space. And this is where the 49ers have struggled. And the last 2 weeks have been fantastic for Drake London, over 110 receiving yards in both games, 110 receiving yards in the week before their bye, and then 158 receiving yards against the Bills. So the targets have always been there for him this year, but finally they're starting to connect between Penix and London.
Man, that slot receiver thing, when something has been a problem for years, regardless of players, regardless of defensive coordinators for the 49ers, because we know they've, it was Nick Sorensen, Steve Wilkes, D'Amico. Can we fix it? Can we fix it? Please. Deuce. And I guess they're trying, now it's Upton Stout there, but it has just been so frustrating. Whoop, slot fade, big play for the other team. Slot fade, 29-yard touchdown. There is nothing more infuriating as a fan when you are watching, when you see something on the field and you're like, this is about to happen. And then that exact thing happens. It makes you want to rip your hair out.
Yeah. And it is wild that I feel like since I've been a part of this podcast now, which has been for 4 seasons, 4 or 5, 4 seasons, I think this has been a reoccurring issue. I think last year was one of their better years against slot receivers, but it's right back to being the worst again. And, if that's what makes certain play callers more special than others, is when they move around their best wide receiver and they don't just keep him on the outside. And Drake London has started to do that, playing in the slot, and he's found success.
49er Reefer says, did you see George Kittle, quote, run yesterday? He can barely walk. Looks like ish. I didn't see anything that scared me. I think that he's going to play. I don't think they're going to throw him out there.
I think Kittle always looks like, he can barely walk.
I don't know. I mean, maybe you saw something I didn't. I've fully acknowledged that could be the case. I didn't see anything that scared me there. So who knows? I'm just looking, and I have another Falcons pick I want to make. I'll take Bijan Robinson, more than 80.5 rush yards. I think that he's going to run all over this team, quite frankly. I think they're not going to be able to tackle him, and I think he's going to have I already have him on the receiving yards, so according to my picks, he's going to have 130 total yards from scrimmage. I feel good about that. I hate to do it. I would love to be wrong, but when it comes to my picks and my money, I'm realistic, not optimistic.
Yeah, I can see it, but I'm not going to put my name down for that one, but I can see it.
Also, these picks are not there, so there's not a lot of 49er picks out there right now, but I'm telling you, if you check Saturday or Sunday morning, Eddie Pinheiro, more than 1.5 field goals, book it. This offense moves the ball too well in the middle of the field for him not to get the opportunities. Now, he may miss them, although he hasn't so far, but he's going to have chances. So I would take that one. I'm going to put that down as an official, even though it's not on the picks list yet. I'm going to put it down as one of my picks for the week. Eddie Pinheiro, more than 1.5 field goals. He's been making me easy money ever since he's come on the damn team.
He's been killing it for you over and over and over. And then obviously whatever Christian McCaffrey's receiving yards is once it's up, take it.
That was going to be my next question. So for reference, last week was 50.5. I assume you would take that no problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Would you take it 60.5?
I don't think it's going to be any higher because George Kittle is returning. So I think it's going to be kept the same. 60.5 is quite high. I mean, a 10 receiving yard swing there. But if it's in the 50s, 50 to 55, I'm taking it.
Sean Turner says Rob is making up fake picks. I mean, technically they're made up, but like they're based on picks that have been on the board in the past.
And they'll be there this week, and it's going to be close to what we're saying. And we're saying we take it.
Kenny says Atlanta allows less than 4 yards per target to running backs. I don't care. Like, I don't care. That doesn't scare me. That's a logical, reasonable argument. But Christian McCaffrey has been crushing it this year, specifically in this way. So until that stops, I'm gonna pick it.
Yeah, and I mean, they haven't faced the best receiving back is Christian McCaffrey. The second best is Bijan Robinson, who's on their own team, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not like they face these crazy good receiving backs. I mean, they faced Jordan Mason as a starter. He's not a receiving back. They faced Chuba Hubbard. That was before they were even using Rico Dowdle. Chuba Hubbard's a really bad receiving back. James Cook, I mean, he should be utilized more as a receiving back, but he's not really. And then the Commanders backfield without Austin Eckler there. And so I don't think it's like they face these really great receiving backs and they held them to nothing this year.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I was looking at George Kittle and I was trying to think like how many yards should I feel like Kittle's going to get? And the Falcons do not give up yards to tight ends this year. In fact, they're the best against tight ends in the entire league. But then I was like, okay, but let me see which tight ends they have faced. Now, it hasn't exactly been a murderer's row, right? They face like the ghost of Zach Ertz. TJ Hawkinson is good. Dawson Knox. The Panthers, I don't even know that they start a tight end. Like, who the hell is the Panthers tight end? So I think that...
Hey, put some respect on Jatavian Sanders' name. My boy from Texas.
I actually wanted the Niners to draft him when he was coming out. But I think that number has more to do with the fact that they haven't faced a whole bunch of really good tight ends than it does with, they're actually really good at stopping this. So that didn't, even though I saw that and it scared me at first, when I dug into it a little, I was like, I think Kittle will be okay.
Yeah, that's always an important context to look into. You can't just look at the pure number. You have to see who they face. And like you said, I mean, Zach Ertz is by far the best tight end they faced this year. And last week, they didn't even have to face Dalton Kincaid. He was out of the game for the Bills. And Dawson Knox caught a touchdown against the Falcons. So I think Kittle will be just fine. And again, Kittle is different than other tight ends too. So it's like when you're looking at these, like who's really good against running backs in the receiving game or tight ends in the receiving game, it's like, well, how special are these players? And that's really what it comes down to.
This comment, AJ Lamb says they haven't faced a quality tight end like Tonjas. That's true. In fact, few teams have. Let me just throw that on the record. The one thing I'm looking forward to, though, Michelle, is Kittle gives them some juice, some attitude on offense, right? Some freaking like moxie, something like some juice. It's not like, we're out here, we're just hoping to get the ball down the field. No, Kittle gives give me the ball, I'm smashing you in the face, and I'm plowing down the field. That attitude, I feel like, is contagious, and I really feel like the Niners have missed that.
They have. I will just be holding my breath every single time Kittle touches the ball in this game.
You know what, though? I'm at the point now where, like, you can't hurt me anymore. You've taken everybody, pretty much. Like, you've taken Brock. You've taken Bosa. You've taken Warner. You took Pearsall. You took Kittle for basically the entire season up until this point. Like, you could only kill me once, so to speak. Once I'm dead, I'm dead. And that's kind of where I feel right now. So,
and it's not even just this season. This happened last year. So it's like we're really numb to this at this point.
It's got to be driving Kyle Shanahan. I was thinking of this. I love Greek mythology. Like, I always find the stories interesting. I'm actually reading a book of it to my son right now. And there was one in there that made me think of Kyle Shanahan because it feels like Kyle, he's blessed with this tremendous ability to scheme up defenses and scheme up plays. But it's like, yeah, once you get your shot as a head coach, you're never going to have everybody except for the 1 year. Other than that, we're going to take away all your weapons. So you have this ability, but you're never really going to get to maximize it. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you are familiar with this, but Cassandra in Greek mythology was like a priestess in Troy. And she was a priestess of Apollo. And Apollo comes down from Olympus one day and he's like, hey, you're attractive. I'm attractive. Let's do this. And she was like, no, thanks. And he was like, no, come on, let's do it. I'll give you the ability to see the future. Look, you have the ability to see the future. She was like, yeah, that's great. Still not interested. And he was like, all right, well, you know what? Fine. You have the ability to see the future, but no one's ever going to believe you. And that is exactly what happened. She goes to the leaders of Troy and says, we're going to get attacked and there's going to be a horse and there's going to be a halt. She tells them everything that's going to happen. Nobody believes her. Trojan War goes down. Troy gets destroyed. Hector gets killed, which is her brother. She predicted everything, but nobody believed her. That's Kyle Shanahan. You're a wizard on offense.
Story.
Oh, yeah. You're a wizard on offense, Kyle, but all your guys are going to get hurt all the time.
So the guy got turned down. He just was a little baby about it and cursed her. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice story you're sharing here, Stats.
Well, look, I didn't make it up, all right? I didn't think of it, but I'm reading it to my son, and he was like, wow, that's pretty
Why are
good.
you reading that to your son?
I love Greek myths.
Okay, well, let him know that women are allowed to turn down men without being cursed.
Again, I didn't write the story.
Yeah, well, teach your boy that's not okay.
That is messed up, man. That is all time. You could see the future, but no one's ever going to believe you that is like twist the knife bad.
Yeah, that's real bad. That's why I had to stop watching Homeland, because no one would ever believe the main character, and it was driving me crazy.
That is depressing. Yet here we are.
Yeah.
All right. That's unless you have any more picks. Do you have any more picks?
I do not. No.
Okay. As Nick Ellert says, Ray McLeod revenge game. God. Can we have a good returner? By the way, Jordan Watkins might actually get to return punts, so we won't have Sky Moore catching everything inside the 5-yard line anymore. Bonus.
Nice.
Anthony says national media is saying Jeff Ulbrich revenge game because he was Robert Saleh's defensive coordinator with the Jets. Let me just say, if it comes down to Robert Saleh against Jeff Ulbrich, I think we know who's going to win that one. Okay, we saw the Jets defense when Saleh was fired and how they fell apart. I'll take Saleh in that matchup.
And what would he be upset about? He got to take over. Yeah, like, it's not like Saleh fired him.
That's a good point.
Saleh got fired and he took Saleh's job. So I don't know what revenge that he would be trying to get from Saleh.
Astro says it's a Charlie Warner revenge game. That's true. Former 49ers are all over the friggin' place. If they could somehow pull it off, Michelle, they'd be 5-2, 5 NFC wins. They'd be sitting pretty. They would be in such a good place, and they very well could. They easily could pull this off if they handle their friggin' business, and it would make such a difference. The swing from 5-2 to 4-3. I know it's just one game, but it would feel incredible.
Yeah, and I thank goodness this game is on at home, right? Because Falcons on the road lost 30-0 against the Panthers. Mm-hmm. They lost 20. Oh no, they beat the Vikings on the road. Well, that takes away my case. Never mind.
Well, how about this? The Atlanta Falcons have not scored a single point outdoors all season.
Wow.
It's a little deceptive when you look at the schedule and see who they've played on the road, but nonetheless, it is a true fact. So I'm sticking to it.
I like it.
All right, that's going to do it for this edition of the show. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel. I always say, if you give us a chance, you'll come back. We're live every single weekday. We're live after every 49ers game. Check out the instant reaction show. Levin and I will be live the second the game ends. Hop on YouTube, hop on Twitch, hop on X. You'll be able to check that out. Hopefully, we are recapping a 49ers victory. But whatever happens, we can commiserate together, and I hope we do because it is a lot of fun. Michelle, what do you got going on this weekend?
Yeah, I'll be watching some college football tomorrow. Texas Longhorns finally look like a somewhat viable team. Arch Manning sucks, but I'll be watching them tomorrow and hanging out for the day around town.
So you're not on the, hey, Arch Manning, he started slow, but he's coming around.
No, he's so bad.
Wow. Okay.
I was so excited for him. So excited. I bought his jersey. I tried to. So I was at a bar one day. It's like a restaurant bar type thing. And there was a kid, and I like the junior size jerseys. They're just so much cuter. The women's jerseys fit weird. I hate the men's jerseys. They're long. So this kid, the first week one of the college season, we're watching the Texas game. I'm like, oh my God, he has the jersey. I can't find it. So I was like, hey, bud, what if I give you $200 for that jersey? His mom was right there. I wasn't being a creep.
Hold
on.
Like, wait. So let me first. You tried to buy a children's Arch Manning jersey.
Yeah, it would have been perfect. This kid was a little, chunky little boy, kind of like it would have been perfect size. And I've been looking for one and I cannot find it anywhere. So I don't know where they even got it from. And it was week 1, so I was so excited for Arch Manning. He's supposed to be so good, right? So I was like, I will give you $200 for that jersey. And his mom looks at him like, you gonna take it? And he's like, no. And then Arch has a terrible first half. So I go over at half. I was like, did you change your mind? He's like, no. And then at the end of the game, I asked again. He was like, no. I'm like, okay. I was just messing with him, but I didn't get it. But now I bet you he's looking back being like, man, I should have got that $200.
When you say kid, are you saying like 16-year-old or are you saying like 8-year-old?
He's probably like 10.
10
He's probably like 10, yeah.
You often look at children and think, I'd look good in that top.
I've been looking for the junior Arch Manning jersey and I couldn't find it. So it was perfect. And it looked new. I wanted it.
Okay, we are learning things about you that we never thought we would find out.
I made sure his mom was cool with it. It was just joking back and forth.
You had $200 in cash on you at the time that you could.
I would have Venmo'd his mother. Zelled.
Oh my God. All right. I can't top that. I got nothing left. So thank you, Michelle, for sharing that. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Go Niners, and we'll talk to you after the game.
Bye, y'all.